Welcome to Alpha Phi Sigma, 75 years of academic excellence, community service, leadership, and unity. In the next several minutes, we'll take a look at Alpha Phi Sigma's humble beginnings to its dramatic growth in the 1990s and beyond, which now includes its first international chapters in Canada. Vivian Anderson Leonard in 1942 created Alpha Phi Sigma with a group of 17 students majoring in police science and administration at Washington State College. The chapter later became known as Alpha Chapter. Naturally, Dr. Leonard was a chapter advisor, and Glenn Hill was the very first chapter president of Alpha Phi Sigma. 1 year prior, in this small college town in eastern Washington, Dr. Leonard drove over the last hill of the Palouse country. As Pullman, Washington came into his view for the first time, the blueprints for a professional and academic honor society dedicated to excellence in scholarship and performance were already taking shape in his agenda. In the early years, Leonard and his students sponsored college-wide costume balls. The Alpha Phi Sigma costume balls had an old-time police theme, just the way Dr. Leonard liked it. Tickets were $1.25 per couple, and the couple with the most original outfit was served an arrest warrant and a prize. Social activities aside, Leonard never wavered from the vision he had of facilitating scholastic excellence in the field of criminal justice. This excellence also meant that police officers in the field would take advantage of technological developments in the effort to fight crime, including use of polygraph, the first of which was invented by a mentor of Dr. Leonard's, August Vollmer. We know relatively little about Alpha Phi Sigma in its early years, but what we do know is that V.A. Leonard continued to be very committed to the organization well into the 1980s. The author of numerous books, one of his most renowned writings is Police Organization and Management. Leonard was also the editor of the Encyclopedia of Criminology and the Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology. V.A. Leonard was a 14-year veteran of the Berkeley Police Department in California. Later in life, he attended The Ohio State University, where he received a Ph.D. in sociology. He became a professor at Washington State College, now Washington State University, where he taught police management, records and communication, and policing. He was the chair of the Police Science and Administration Department at Washington State College. Dr. Leonard was considered an advocate of the police professionalism movement, and his writings in the 1940s and 1950s stressed the importance of women in the law enforcement profession. In the midst of growing turmoil in the 1960s, Alpha Phi Sigma remained small, but several new chapters were in fact chartered, including chapters at Michigan State University, Central Missouri State University, followed by Delta Chapter at Northern Arizona University, Epsilon Chapter at Eastern Kentucky University, Eta Chapter at the University of Nebraska-Omaha, Theta Chapter at Southwest Texas State University, Omega Theta at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, Omega Iota Chapter at the University of Maryland, and Omega Kappa Chapter at Columbus College in Georgia. During its first 35 years, Alpha Phi Sigma experienced only limited growth, but on March 24, 1976 in Dallas, Texas, the executive board of the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences voted unanimously to designate Alpha Phi Sigma the National Criminal Justice Honor Society. At the time Alpha Phi Sigma received its national designation, it was comprised of only 14 chapters. In addition to those chapters already mentioned, American Technological University in Texas, State University of New York, Pan American University, and San Jose State University rounded out the list. Since 1978, Alpha Phi Sigma has held its national conference in conjunction with the annual ACJS meeting. The Academy's continued support of Alpha Phi Sigma serves to enhance its purpose, the recognition of scholarly achievement in the field of criminal justice. Tremendous growth occurred after Alpha Phi Sigma's designation as the Criminal Justice Honor Society. By the close of the 1970s, Alpha Phi Sigma was 64 chapters strong. The decade of the 1980s brought about great changes for Alpha Phi Sigma. In 1981, Alpha Phi Sigma was accepted into the Association of College Honor Societies. The Alpha Phi Sigma Scholarship officially became the V.A. Leonard Scholarship in 1982. The national newsletter was officially named The Docket in 1987, and prior to that, the official publication of Alpha Phi Sigma was known only as National Newsletter. Dr. Leonard continued his involvement and support of Alpha Phi Sigma through the early 1980s. And by the late 1980s, the Alpha Phi Sigma National Office found its way back to Washington State, now University, where it all began in 1942. In the 1980s, the Alpha Phi Sigma National Office and vice presidents were housed at such universities as the University of Nebraska at Omaha, Texas Women's University, Eastern Kentucky University, and Tarleton State University. And where ACJS roamed in the 1980s, so did Alpha Phi Sigma, from Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. in the east to Las Vegas and San Francisco in the west. By the end of the decade, Alpha Phi Sigma was 120 chapters strong and growing. Alpha Phi Sigma's continued growth in the 1990s presented major challenges to the organization. Dr. Regina B. Schern from Florida International University gained prominence at the national level by taking a leadership role in important changes to Alpha Phi Sigma. Most importantly, the National Secretariat was established in 1996, which would complement the national slate of officers in the day-to-day running of Alpha Phi Sigma. And the National Executive Council was also created in the 1990s, in 1996 at the meetings in Las Vegas. Dr. Regina B. Schern continues in Alpha Phi Sigma today as National Executive Director. In 1992, Alpha Phi Sigma celebrated its 50th anniversary. The celebration in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania included representatives from 14 chapters. In the late 1990s, scholarship and award money to Alpha Phi Sigma members and chapters increased from $500 to $20,000. The Chapter Scrapbook Award was changed to the Yearbook Award. An Outstanding Chapter Website Award was also created. By the end of the decade, the Regina B. Schern Award was established in honor of her contributions to the organization. In the 1990s, the national office and national vice presidents were housed at such universities as Washington State, Eastern Kentucky University, Fairmont State University, Florida International University, Mankato State University, St. Thomas University, and the University of Houston downtown. By the end of the 1990s, Alpha Phi Sigma had grown to 240 chapters. By the mid-1990s, Alpha Phi Sigma's national conferences became more than just a few business meetings and scholarship recognitions. It began to feature prominent speakers from around the nation, group activities, workshops, student panels, and Alpha Phi Sigma's very own version of College Bowl. Since then, national conferences have continued to grow. Crime scene investigation has been one of the highlights of each conference. And other conference activities have revolved around Alpha Phi Sigma's pillars of academic excellence, leadership, community service, and unity. And during the 3-day national conference, members also enjoy a little bit of fun, including student lunches, receptions, and costume balls. The first meeting of the 21st century in New Orleans saw Fairmont State University winning elections for president, secretary, and treasurer, while the vice presidency went to Florida International. The following year, the 2001 conference in Washington, D.C. was a milestone for Alpha Phi Sigma, as the presidential slate and vice president were elected to Alpha Phi Sigma's first 2-year term. The new 2-year term allowed officers to concentrate on the mission of Alpha Phi Sigma, promoting the ideals of academic excellence, unity, leadership, and community service. By 2002, at its 60th anniversary celebration at the happiest place on earth, Disneyland, Alpha Phi Sigma had grown to 264 chapters. Since then, the initiation of national officers every 2 years has been a hallowed tradition, replicated at local chapters across the country, including at the Iota chapter at San Jose State University. At these initiation ceremonies, local officers are not only given the oath of office, but they also promise to uphold the Alpha Phi Sigma ideals. Officer positions in Alpha Phi Sigma are a high honor that signifies an individual's growth and maturity. Officers are ambassadors of Alpha Phi Sigma during their term of office. Promoting academic excellence, as articulated in Dr. Leonard's original vision of Alpha Phi Sigma, has been a mainstay in the organization. Signature scholarships, the V.A. Leonard Scholarship and the Regina B. Schern Scholarship, are awarded each year to individuals who most represent the ideals of Alpha Phi Sigma. The National Conference also awards scholarships for student papers, knowledge exams, and crime scene investigations. Alpha Phi Sigma members are encouraged to inspire a just pride in the academic criminal justice field by encouraging greater communications among members and the criminal justice profession. Unity is demonstrated both at local chapters and at the national conference activities. Unity becomes the key to effective collaborations and partnerships that promote problem solving in the criminal justice field. Hundreds of Alpha Phi Sigma chapters participate in service projects in their local communities, making a difference wherever they go. From wreaths across America at American Public University and American Military University, to providing holiday gifts for children in protective custody of court-appointed special advocates at Boise State University, it's community service that completes the mission of Alpha Phi Sigma. Today, Alpha Phi Sigma headquarters makes its home at Nova Southeastern University, College of Arts, Humanity, and Social Sciences, Department of Justice and Human Services. And just over the last year, Alpha Phi Sigma's strength is in its numbers. 67 new faculty memberships, 14 new honorary memberships, 16 new chapters, 2 Golden Alumni memberships, and 6,280 new members just in the last year. Dr. V.A. Leonard's dream of an honor society dedicated to scholastic excellence continues today and beyond. Alpha Phi Sigma, 75 years of academic excellence, community service, leadership, and unity. This has been a presentation of Alpha Phi Sigma, the National Criminal Justice Honor Society, in association with Exploding Head Trick Productions.